Hello, everybody, and we're at the time. So, hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's show. Unfortunately, the first part of the show, some may not even want to watch it, so that's your choice. But it's something that I have to get off my chest because I've seen enough upset in this house this weekend. So, therefore, as any man would do, he'll defend his family. Can somebody just let me know that you can all hear me okay? That'd be great. But when I said it's the final chapter and the end, I think everybody's probably guessed by now what it's all about. Is the man himself, Mark Lyford, yet again has reared his head. Live videos about me and my family, about court cases, etc., etc., etc. And then puts a post out on Pigeon Chat, and I've responded to some of it because I just not sit back and watch the lies what spiel out the man's mouth. And tonight I'll just prove to you with evidence what a liar this man really is, and what an obsession he's got with me, Who Dares Wins, and my family. Actually no better than a stalker. But this is the very, very last time on my son's life that I will ever comment or say anything of anything to do with Lyford or any other social media site. The only site that I will comment on from now on is Who Dares Wins, and the only comments which will be about the One Love race. So, moving on. Most have seen the post on Pigeon Chat. Some people who I don't know from Adam have commented. Everybody's fed up on it. I'm fed up on it. But again, the man keeps rearing his head. It's a total obsession. So again, the live video were there, and people responded because they're all tired of it, and they backed him into a corner. So what he did when he got put in that corner, he quickly sent a link to the asktomo.com website, which he's built up over 2 years about me and my family, my business, which is packed full of lies. It's full of cropped images. It's one man's opinion, one man's total obsession, one man's hatred. I've not seen one bit of evidence from this man to support anything that he says on that website, but it makes good reading, so feel free to read it and enjoy it. The true people out there that know me know where I'm at. But what I will say before we go any further is I was born in 1963 and christened Gary Tomlinson. That's still my name today. I was born into a life of pigeons. I was brought up on a council estate. I lived on that council estate for 45 years. I worked as a coal miner for 33 years. The point I'm trying to get through here is, when you're brought up like that, you're brought up to respect people and to gain respect yourself. What I mean by that is that, as most mining communities had, in any community within our sport, if there was a disagreement between two people, you would take your shirts off and you would go to the scratch line and you would sort it out like grown men. After that, you would be the best of friends and buy each other a drink. That's the way we was brought up in mining communities. But you was brought up to respect people and have respect for your elders, etc., etc. So, well over 40 years now, I've been actively involved in pigeon racing. I've held numerous positions as a club secretary, fed secretary, been a convoyer. There's not much I've not done. Sherland Miners Welfare Flying Club won the Club of the Year in the late 70s or early 80s, no, to be in the late 80s, of which I orchestrated basically working along with club members. So yeah, I've done a fair bit throughout the pigeon sport. I've geared tens of thousands, not me personally, but I've raised tens of thousands of pounds for charities, various charities. I've given scores of pigeons away for free. Always been there to try and help people when they've had problems with pigeons. Even today again, although my head's not been with it, I've been there first time trying to help people with problems they've had with the pigeons. So I'll just show you how obsessed this man really is. We move on to the AskTommo.com website, where earlier this year in March, a guy called Anthony Coburn reared his head. Where he came from, I have no idea. Supposedly I've offered him money to do different deeds, and anybody bought up on a council estate, I think one of the things he said, I offered him £2,000 to set fire to a car. That's what he said. But I'm quite sure that anybody bought up in a mining community or on a council estate, we all live in the real world, £2,000 set fire to a car. Phew, that's some money, that. Never met the man. Well, I have actually met the man in my life, but I didn't know I'd met him. For some reason, Mark Lyford found some video footage of me talking to Anthony Coburn in Blackpool, at Blackpool show, when we have hundreds and hundreds of visitors to our stand. And I don't ask every person what his name is or whatever, because you don't have time. But he showed some video footage. Well done. Still to this day, I never knew that person existed. But he reared his head. Now, I would say, from his background, that he was paid to come and say what he said about me and my family. Because Anthony Coburn's claim to fame is that he filmed a woman who had been kidnapped. She had her head shaved. She was beaten. She had boiling water tipped on her. A dog was killed in front of her. And then she was made to eat dog feces. In other words, dog shit. That's his claim to fame. Now, this all came about, I think, sometime in March. So you start to think, now, why has he come forward and said that? What is behind this? What is the motive behind it? So shortly after, I get an email. And I'll read you this email. And the email was from a lady called Natalie Woods. And it reads, I tried joining the Who Dares Wins group on Facebook, as we have paid to send birds, paid £50 deposit. But my request was cancelled. We would like to pull out of the race, as I have been sent a few things now regarding incidents that have gone on. I was sent a video of two men and a 16-year-old child being attacked on your property over birds they purchased from you. My son, who entered your race, is 15. I don't want him involved or go into a property where people think it's acceptable for a grown woman to attack a 16-year-old. You have said everything is truthful and transparent, but it is clear to see that it's not the case. There are more and more people coming forward with their experiences dealing with you and your family, including threats of violence, and we don't want our son involved in it. So would I be able to get a refund, please? Now, I've not seen no names or anybody or anything like that. I ain't seen a thing. You know, no evidence to back it up. But me being me, I replied, Hi Natalie, I have no problem returning your deposit. If you wish to believe these people, then that is your choice. The man and his 16-year-old son, the father of the 16-year-old son is a convicted drug dealer. He earned his millions from pornography. He was told not to come out to our property for the following reason. My father died only 6 months earlier, and it was his birthday the day they turned up uninvited and was told not to come. I might add that I was giving him the 7 pigeons for free. My wife has never been in trouble, not even a parking ticket. We raise thousands each year for charities, including children's charities. But you believe who you wish. I have been involved in this sport for over 40 years, not 3 years like some people in question. I would like to wish your son all the best with his pigeons and if you send me your address, I will send him my 3 DVDs for free. This will help him in his quest to be successful in the sport. Please forward your bank details and I will refund your deposit payment, although our rules do stipulate deposits are non-refundable. So I refunded the deposit. So you get an inkling that something's not right. So you start to do a bit of background work. And I got some friends who live in Liverpool, where Cobain comes from. And I told them 2 names, etc., etc., etc. And guess what? Natalie Woods is the partner of Anthony Cobain, or maybe an ex-partner, I don't know, but she was the partner of Anthony Cobain. Anthony Cobain is the father to her son. The man who watched a woman being tortured videoed it, but this woman received information about me and my family and didn't want to her son involved with my family. My family has never tortured anybody. My family have never kidnapped anybody. So now you can see how the plot's starting to thicken. And this is the man that came through Lyford and said that I offered him £2,000 to set fire to a car. Now you judge what you want to judge. I'm not trying to put words in nobody's mouth. Be careful what you comment, because you'll be accused of being a sheep, or you'll be accused of being one of my troops. Because that's what anybody who goes opposite to Lyford, that's what they get accused of. You one of Tomlinson's sheep or one of his troops. So that's just one of the things on AskTomo.com. Another thing which is very I find very interesting is how we rig the auction. How we fix the auction by having inside information to the pigeons what are being bid on. I have never directly run the auction. I have never asked the person who run the auction in 2020 what are any commission bids. Sorry, in 2021 what any 2020 what any commission bids are. I have never asked anybody in 2021 what any commission bids were. I made it open and transparent that what birds I'd be bidding on. But this guy who's accusing me of rigging the auction, in 2019, he ran the auction. And the 7 pigeons he keeps quoting, he's paid for, right? And that he won at the auction. He run the auction, so he had inside information of exactly what each person was bidding. But that's Mark Lyford. He can do what he wants. It's not wrong for him to do it, is it? But he had inside it. He ran the auction, but bought 7 pigeons. So that's another thing on the auction site, on the AskTomo.com website. The man is totally obsessed. So then we come to the biggie. The big one there is, as he keeps quoting, I took £8,500 off the British Masters One-Off race. Who Dares Wins and Gary Tomlinson were to blame for the British Masters One-Off race not running or going ahead in 2022. Really. As I said before, there's been an High Court decision which we won, and I cannot directly show evidence and emails because it's the High Court judge. It was awarded under a Tomlin order. So therefore, I cannot disclose that parts of that information. But, and on art, I have emails which I sent to the Sullivan brothers way before any legal people got involved, explaining to them that they could not do what they was doing regarding advertising, etc. And after 4 days, I got an email back basically telling me to shove it, and any further correspondence, I had got to contact Mark Lyford. They had paid him. They owned certain works. Now, maybe Ian and Lee, we was good friends prior to this, very good friends prior to this kicking off. We worked together last year between each other, and there was room like there's in this country for many one-off races. I had no hard feeling with the Sullivans whatsoever, none at all. And I vow them to come on here and say that I did, because I didn't. And Lyford keeps saying that Who Dares Wins were to blame for their race not running. What? Bearing in mind there was no court case or anything involved, but when I got the email back from the Sullivans, I instructed legal people to get involved, which they did. And as I said, we won our case. An agreement was drawn up between us both under the Tomlin order, and it was left at that. So, Who Dares Wins went to Ed in 2022, although there was court proceedings going on. The British Masters, as Lyford keeps saying, didn't go ahead because of the Tomlinson family and Who Dares Wins. Why? Why didn't it run? I keep getting that they couldn't concentrate because of the court case. The case was settled out of court. So there's no court case. But then Marky Boy, the super entrepreneur marketer, sometime in March said that the British Masters had 500 entries prior to them coming out and saying the race wouldn't be going ahead. So come March, the loft closes 5 weeks later and they've got 500 entries. Bearing in mind they needed 1,500 entries to guarantee the prize money. So I would say that race didn't go ahead because they hadn't got the entries they expected to get. Maybe it's because they got Mark Lyford involved. I don't know. But that's their choice. I hope you work together in the future. I hope you carry on working together. Good luck. So I'm now going to move on to the court cases. Yes, I was taking Mark Lyford to court for harassment. And early in February, we was awarded an interim injunction which shut Lyford up. And that cost money, make no mistake about it. And that interim injunction was awarded to us pending a full hearing later that month. It could have been March or April, whenever it took place. It might have been April. But anyway, later that month. So I then gets a phone call out of the blue from my legal team, who said to me, Gary, you need to seriously think how far you're prepared to go with this harassment case. So I asked why. They said because of the cost implications. And this is gospel truth, because of the cost implications. So I said, why? What is the issue like? They said, well, what are you going to get back from it? Lyford's admitted he owns nothing. He's got nothing in his name. He's got no assets. So we were suing him for £50,000. If you're to win your case, which odds on I would have done because the interim injunction had already gone through, I would get nothing from Lyford whatsoever. And the extra costs I got to pay to go to court was another £45,000, which would have took that case, the harassment case, in excess of £100,000. Now, who in their right mind would have pursued a case against a man that you're not going to get no compensation back from, and it's going to cost you another £45,000? Now, I want you to put yourself in my position. Who would have, I might as well have walked out this drive here, and first person what come along, give them 45 grand and said, there you are, I'm giving you that for free, go and enjoy it. So that's why I pulled the plug on the harassment case. So that's case one. Case two, copyright. the copyright case went to Ed sometime in June. And part of what Lyford is saying is true. Part of what he's saying is true. So we get it, I'm watching the case on Zoom, etc. And the judge asked our legal team, what part of the copyright, etc. are we claiming? And really, I was disappointed because the barrister really didn't give him a direct answer. But he was also very annoyed because Lyford had not took legal advice, and the reason he'd not took legal advice is because his words were he couldn't afford it, and his paperwork and etc. his counterclaim etc. was all over the place, and was a mess actually. And what that judge has actually done, he adjourned it till October, and he had advised us to go to mediation and try and put a settlement to it, and Lyford don't realise that judge gave him a lifeline, a proper lifeline. So then again, various phone calls took place between our legal team and Lyford himself. And each time it was all to do with money. And I kept turning it down. So what I said is, to my legal team, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll not pursue the case any further. We'll drop it, and he can walk away. I'll walk away. It's cost me personally and my family tens of thousands of pounds, but we'll walk away. End of. And it goes to bed. We'll leave it at that. Now, part of what Lyford keeps saying is this is stressing his family, and he wants to put it to bed once and for all. Well, I gave him that chance to put it to bed once and for all, and just walk away. Same as I would have walked away. End of story. But he's not. He's continued to pursue it. So he's now, I believe, taking me to court, which I really, really do look forward to. I really do. So what I will say to you, Marky boy, good luck. And what he keeps going on about is he hasn't been paid for the hours and hours of work that he put in through Dares Wins. He was the man who boosted the entries. Well, Marky boy, apart from the first year, Who Dares Wins has been full every year. And in 2018, we couldn't take any more birds. So what we did, we extended the loft so we could take more birds. We doubled the prize money. Yes, we got you on board, which in hindsight was a massive mistake, and I was pre-warned, but I ignored it. But there we go. And people say, like I've seen comments on there from Andy Pereira, is his name, yeah? Andy Pereira, another one who probably gets a phone call every now and again, like I used to do when Lyford first come on scene. They're on to me again on social media. Will you go on and post something, Gary, please? So Muggins here used to go and do it. And Andy Pereira says, Gary knew, or Tomlinson knew what Lyford's background were before getting involved with him. Yes, I did. So did many more people. But I'm a big believer in giving people a chance. So I gave him a chance. And he keeps going, it all fell apart after Blackpool in January. I'll tell you when it fell apart. He came here early in March. And he said now's a good time to invest in cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if you give me 20,000 quid, I'll get you a good return on it. So I came up to Ass and said to Annette, Mark said this, Mark said that. She says, Tom, because that's what she calls me, Tom, you've been transferring money to him left, right and centre. £100 here, £200 there, X, Y, Z. She says, no. So I went down and said, look, I'm not interested. I don't understand it. If it's too good to be true, then it's not true. I don't want to be part on it. And that's when things started to fall apart. So I can see people saying, like Ash Burdett, dropped everything. It's not your family, Ash, what's getting it. It's not you who's getting it. I've got to get this off my chest. And I'm going to get it off my chest once and for all. Then it's finished with, like I've told you. Done with. It's not my way of dealing with things. I'd like to deal with things like grown men. But unfortunately, with this person, you cannot. So we come to payment where I keep saying he's not been paid. Never been paid. Never had a pay to this day. Not been paid. Well, my good friends at Benzing have sent me a bit of paperwork through. Remember, his payment was 30 spaces in Who Dares Wins. To be sold off, so many as bonus balls and the other as a syndicate. Then birds went into the loft middle of April. Okay? So he's not been paid. Remember, 30 spaces, or which was to be sold as bonus balls, and he got to provide the pigeons. But he came to me in November that he'd been stopped trading on with Bitcoin. He'd had his bank account's frozen, and he couldn't afford to source the pigeons. So I bred him the pigeons out the goodness of my heart. Now he's gone on to say that we had pigeons here which belonged to him and some escaped. They didn't belong to him, they belonged to a German guy. And yes, some got out of the aviary, but that's not my problem. That's his risk. If he couldn't, he should have had them at his own loft. And he's gone on to say that I bred him them 30 pigeons because of them pigeons we loft. More and more lies coming out of the man's mouth. So he's not been paid. So here we are, Marky boy. There's your 30 pigeons. ETS numbers and everything. Them birds was in the loft. There's other people's names on there. That's the printout from Benzing. From 2020. They're your pigeons. But you've not been paid. Now I would say you've been paid as per the contract. So where did it go wrong then, Marky boy? Them birds went into the loft in February. You decided to start marketing them around about the 20th to 23rd of March. Now I said to you, as soon as them birds went in that loft, you need to get these sold because at the moment there's 30 birds there. But when we start letting them out, it takes one hawk attack for birds to disappear. And he ignored me because he's Mark Lyford. He's the great entrepreneur. He's the expert in marketing, not me. I'm a coal miner. And lo and behold, I've got a video on him sat in front of the camera with his puppet behind him saying that he's going to be running bonus balls. He's got 10 3-bird teams. And the video's all there. Looks great how he's doing it. Well, I accept that. And then we move on. We fast forward and we get into April, where these birds have then been flying out for probably 5-6 weeks. And he starts advertising again because nobody's really took him up on anything, that he's going to run one big syndicate. And 1 or 2 people got involved. But he's advertising 30 birds at this time still. And I pulled him up and I said, Mark, I said, you can't advertise 30 birds. The birds have been flying out for weeks. There's not forced to be 30 birds there. And his words to me were, this shows his naivety in pigeon racing. His words to me were that I don't see why there shouldn't be 30 birds there. So I explained to him that it takes one hawk attack or birds just getting mixed up and going. It can happen. It happens in everybody's loft. 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe more could have gone. But by which time we've got hundreds of pigeons in that loft. And I can't catch every pigeon just to find Mark Lyfords. So we had 2 choices. He either waited for the loft scan and then tried to sell them, or he carried on doing what we were doing, which were wrong. And he carried on doing what we were doing. And he still got desperate, so then he started advertising them as 30 venture birds bred by Gary Tomlinson. They were bred by me, but they weren't venture birds. We have his own venture birds. So, again, more lies. But not been paid. There's the evidence. So then, as things fell apart, he terminated the contract between us on April the 20th, 2020. He then started wanting the birds going in his son's name. And I said, when your son pays the entry fee, they can go in his name. He then said that he would trust that the birds would be treated the same as everybody else's, insinuating that I would do something detrimental to them pigeons. So I thought, hang on a minute here, this is getting out of hand. So I said, right, you're out of the race, the birds are done, you've ended the contract, that's me and you finished. I kept to my side of the bargain, my side of the contract, you've not kept to your side of the contract. I provided you with 30 spaces, the evidence is there, you've not sold them, that's your problem, not mine. You've ended the contract, game, set and match. So that is evidence it was paid. So all the people out there what's been saying, why don't you just pay him, he's been paid. But what he wanted on top of that is he wanted money. And he didn't get money. And when it came to us dropping the copyright case, the reason that we dropped the copyright case, because I missed that bit out, is because yet again, it was adjourned till October. And our legal team said to me, Gary, it's going to cost you £20,000 to take this case further to October. It's going to cost you another 20 grand, another 20,000 quid. And this time, I've got it in writing from Marky Boy. This is in his skeleton defence. This is what he put. My company, Racing Pigeon International, has made no money at all, as I ceased trading as mentioned above. Personally, I was made bankrupt in 2016, and I am still recovering after that, financially and personally. I have little assets, even if the claimant wins, which is us. I am simply not in a position to make any payments. County court judgments would further worsen my position and put me in more debt. So again, I'm going to walk out there, give somebody 20,000 quid for life and not to be able to pay us any court costs, any compensation or anything. That's in black and white. So that again is why I dropped the copyright case. Because I'm not prepared to throw another 20,000 quid away. So there we go. So I'm going to wind up now and just show you how obsessed this man is. How really obsessed this man is. So he made an offer to us that he would walk away and leave everything. He wanted £11,000 off us. Well, off Who Dares Wins. And then he would give us the Ask Tomo, etc., etc. Then he also said there's some additions to it. These are the additions. Now you tell me why one person would want what I'm going to read out to you now. You tell me why. Bear in mind we set up a pigeon stud in 2020. You tell me why you want that. This is what it is. Domain names. AskTomo.com. It was registered on the 7th of January 2020. GaryTomlinson.net. Registered on the 29th of July 2021. WhoDaresWins.net. Registered on the 15th of July 2020. WDWBreedingStud.co.uk. Registered on the 26th of October 2020. www.breedingstud.com. Registered on the 26th of October 2020. www.oneloftbreedingstud.co.uk. Registered on the 26th of October 2020. www.oneloftbreedingstud.com. Registered on the 26th of October 2020. www.racingpigeons.co.uk. Registered on the 26th of October 2020. www.racingpigeons.com. Registered on the 26th of October 2020. www.stud.co.uk. registered on the 20th, 6th of October 2020. wdwstud.com, registered on the 26th of October 2020. Guess who owns all them domains? Mark Lyford. Now, if a man is obsessed, why would he want to own all them domain names when there's no connection to any of that whatsoever? Why would he want all them domain names? Because he knew we were starting out a new business. He knew we were going to register at the company's house, and he knew that we would need to be having something related to that kind of a domain name. So the man owned 11 domain names, all connected to Gary Tomlinson and Who Dares Wins. That's the best one, GaryTomlinson.net. He owns that domain name. So he was prepared to sell me these domain names back as part of the settlement that he wanted. That's how low this man will stoop to. That's how low he'll stoop to. 11 domain names, all connected to Who Dares Wins and Gary Tomlinson. That's how sick the man is. So I think that I've proved a few things here. A, that people were planted, as per Anthony Coburn. B, that yes, you'd been paid, Lyford. C, that we were not to blame for BMI not running their one-off races, you keep saying, and keep trying to convince people. And most of all, that everything you put is, to some people, is laughable. To me, it's not. But there we go. I look forward to seeing you in court. There's no doubt about that. So what I'll say to you is, regarding court, is you crack on. We're going nowhere. But I'm happy to go to court, no problem whatsoever. So, as I said before, I can see what you're saying, Pete. That's me finished with it. I don't want to mention the man's name again. I will never post on any post. I will not go on any other social media site other than Who Dares Wins or Racing Pigeons UK and Ireland. Because that's our site as well. Our page as well. And if anybody else wants to get involved with it, that's up to you. I will not be commenting about the man ever again or anything he writes. Crack on, Lyford. Update yastomo.com, because I know that's what you'll be on with now. And get on with it. But that's me finished with Lyford. So now, that's off my chest. I'm going to move on to tonight's show. We'll now talk pigeons, because that's what we're here for.